Does the shoes come with those numbers, or did you write those on there? What is it? Yeah.
Air Forces, like, there's the Air Force, whatever this is.
All right, all right, all right. Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Mike Rashid.
You got Party Tour Body.
We up in here. All right, so today's topic is very interesting. Today's topic is about monogamy and whether or not monogamy is natural. All right, so who's laughing? Oh, that's somebody over there. Sound like a motherfucker right here. Anyway, sorry about that. Anyway, what's up, y'all? What's up, squad? Y'all checking in? Y'all in here? All right, so Sean, so is monogamy natural?
It's a great question, and boy, it's a hot topic too, I guess. Like, because your opinion can be very polarizing.
Right.
I think natural in the most basic sense, like what animals do, no, it's not natural. But we talk about this. What's natural mean? You know, everything's really natural. So if we make a society and then make rules in that society, that's natural too. We made it. So
Okay, so I guess let me ask the question a little bit better. We are essentially chemical robots, right? We are comprised of chemistry, right? Biology. But the functions of us have been set in a way for hundreds of thousands of years, if not millions, right? Early humans, all the way to modern humans, 200,000 years. Civilized humans, 10 or so thousand years up to now. And we have a process of doing things, right? And for so long, things have been done a certain way. And so let's say, hypothetically, that way was not in a monogamous way like how our society is now. Does that mean that a polygamous way is natural and a monogamous way is not?
yeah, I think but polygamy in the sense of how we would do it today, that's not the way either. That wouldn't have been what it was either.
But what is it? How will we do it today?
Today
We
you
got
kind
to
of
define. We got to set the parameters.
right. You kind of have like the way it's done today. You kind of still have a home base where you operate from, and you just have multiple partners. Whether like there's a main partner and others come and go, or if there's multiple partners and they're set, and that's just how it is, and it's like kind of a mini community. There's different constructs of it, but in the past it wasn't polygamy or monogamy. It was just survival.
T, can you raise the volume? They can't hear us. It was survival. Okay.
It was based on survival before. Now I
Right.
think it's more about pleasure and preference.
Pleasure though, because all right, let's say if it's just all right. So let's define polyamory or polygamy.
Right.
Polygamy is to be in a romantic relationship with more than one person. For a man to have multiple women, wives, or what have you, right? So if it's just about sex, it's an easier way to do that. Is to cheat, right? So
But I mean, pleasure is not just sex, right? It could be like you find pleasure in the
companionship.
company. Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of cheating, is an interesting survey. This was this year. 441 adults in America were asked if they ever cheated on their spouse. Jeez Louise. These are the people that admitted. 71% of the people admitted that they have.
Oh my gosh. 7 out of 10.
Half of them told their partner, half didn't. Yeah.
So that means that 3 out of 10 people is being told that they're being cheated on. If
Men.
those averages were to
Men,
hold
I'm
up.
sorry, it's men.
Oh, men.
Yeah.
So 3 out of 10 men cheat and tell. 3 out of 10 men or 4 out of 10 men cheat and don't tell.
Are men assholes? Are men dickheads? Is that? I mean, what's the deal? It seemed like men cheat.
Yeah, I think it is like you're saying, just literal biology. We are wired this way, whether we want to be or not. But we may also be wired, if you were so able, right? Because a lot of this always comes down to what you're able to do.
Right.
Because you hear a lot of nobility from guys who have no options. Like a lot of like waxing poetic about like the values of this, that, and the other. But no one's trying to be with those people. Like they don't have a whole lot of options based on their setup.
Right.
So it's easier for them to say how they do things and you know how they view the the sanctity of it all. It's a lot tougher when you have options. So I say that to say that I don't think men are assholes. I think that we're fighting our nature sometimes, but I don't think that that's a bad thing. We fight our nature with other things too. If it was within your grasp and someone had something you wanted, you could probably just take it, especially if you were physically superior to them.
Right.
Well, that's not how we do things either.
Correct.
And that's our biological nature, is to secure the goods, the things that we need.
Right.
We don't do that. So,
Well,
I'm not
gonna
all the way opposed.
I'm gonna give you a little bit of pushback on that.
Okay.
We also are very communal, and we also need each other for different goods, services, cooperation, or whatever. That's what helps advance societies and civilization. So even though the fact that we don't just take things from each other is like in a sense building a bond with each other, so we can utilize each other's resources whenever needed, right?
Right.
So I think that's innately programmed in us as well, to be kind of like good people, right? So we're not cavemen, you know what I'm saying? We're not savages. There were savages on the earth, but I don't think that most of modern day humans history were savage like that, even though you can do certain things. I think just like maybe trying to procreate as much as possible, spread your seed in as many places as possible might be a programming. I think also being kind, and not taking shit that don't belong to you,
right,
is also programmed as well, because that helps us become.
Yeah, so it seems like when we made societies, or those started to come to proliferate, like you start seeing agriculture and people settling down.
Right.
That's when just taking what you want kind of stopped becoming the thing, or just killing people for whatever reason, kind of like how animals would do. That stopped happening, but that's also, I guess, when marriage started happening. Mm-hmm. So those things kind of did. There's some connection there, this societal function, and then people kind of teaming up with each other, because inherently we want to trust everyone, but we also know that, we have to look out for ourselves. So part of the trade-off, I think it feels like, as far as having a really good relationship romantically with someone else, is like, you can trust them. You're supposed to be able to trust them.
Right.
And you're trading the rest of the world. This is how I look at it with my relationship. I'm trading to be with this one individual. I'm saying I'm picking you over the field. Like, right. I would rather be with you and invest in this versus consider all the other options that there are, and keep searching and seeing what else is out there.
Right.
So you find that person, and you want to make them feel like it's worth giving themselves to you. So you do what's necessary, what their comfort level is, like to provide what they want, so that they have your back and you have each other's back. And that's how it feels like a great dynamic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So here's another interesting statistic on infidelity. Out of all, the people polled, obviously, if the relationships lasted after the infidelity, 54% it broke up. Marriage relationship was broken up immediately. 30% they tried to stay together but eventually broke up. 15% stayed together, no problems.
Low odds.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
That makes sense, because you plant a seed, right? I can only speak from the male perspective. It's the only one I have. But if that happened to me, and it was told to me, even if I wanted to try for whatever combination of reasons, I can easily see that being a seed that would grow roots and cause distrust. Yeah.
Right.
So it makes complete sense.
Kids? What if there's children involved?
Right.
What if it's very complex?
Yeah, it becomes.
What if there's years of a relationship, genuine love? Look, I don't condone cheating at all. I think people should be honest with their partners, and I don't think people should do anything behind their partner's back. I think that's wrong, right? But I don't think that that's a death sentence on the love. I think there can really be genuine love there, and it could be a number of factors in which one would, creep out and do something that will violate that trust. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
So it could be a lot of love there, right? Genuine love. Somebody got weak, right? But we got children, we got, home, we got, a lot of shit intertwined. Is that a death sentence for you?
I guess I'll have to get there to say for sure, you know?
Yeah.
And it's also a lot easier to build the narrative of, hey, it was part of our journey if you're the one who did it versus
Right.
if it happened to you.
Yeah.
And
I
then
think I'm asking if it happens to you.
if it happened to me, yeah.
Yeah.
If it happened to me, it would probably lead to an evolution in the relationship. It's like, all right, well, I guess that's what we're doing now, you know? And it's like, okay, let's just say you had 3 kids and a house and things were, like you say, complex and breaking up is too hard. It's like, okay, well, I guess we're kind of in an open relationship now.
Right.
You know, that might be,
let it be talked about.
that might be where my head went.
The hard part is like, I don't know, not wanting to get that person back. I want to hurt you now. You hurt me.
Yeah.
Why do I have to be honest with you now? Right. I think for me personally, I probably wouldn't move forward on the strength of the honesty alone. Now, adding all of those other layers, it's hypothetical, but I know how I am, and you know, I've ended things for way smaller stuff, but it was a lie told. You know what I mean? And I was just like, why'd you say that? Like, and I be mad at myself because I'm mad at it's not working. You know what I'm saying? But it's hard for me to go back on that. You told me a lie. You deceived me. You tried to make me think this. Why does a lie hurt so bad?
It's like being punched. Yeah. Like, well, it depends obviously on from who and what it was about.
Right.
To determine how much it hurts. But the painful lies are very painful. Yeah, they really are. I wonder what everyone else thinks. Like what you guys think if this happened to you, what you would do in that situation.
All right, so individuals who had to follow new rules after admitted to cheating.
Yeah.
There was let their partners go through their phones, avoid certain friends. All right, the number one was have your significant other go through your phone. That was a rule.
Whenever.
Number 2 was avoiding certain friends. Number 3 was limitations on going out. 4, let their partner access their social media. 5, end the affair. That's not one.
That's not a requirement for everyone.
Wow. 6, withhold sex. That's gonna cause
More.
That's gonna cause more infidelity. 7, only communicate with the opposite sex with permission. This is weird. 8, get tested for STDs. Okay. 9, limit alcohol intake. I can see that being an issue. All of that shit is an issue. It's just bad, man. Listen, I'm old school, man. I don't think people should cheat.
You should be honest.
I don't think people should be dishonest with their significant other, you know? Listen, I've been dishonest before in relationships, and it fucking sucks because you hurt somebody that you really care about. You know what I mean? For me, I hurt, like me seeing somebody that I care about hurt like that, hurt me. You know what I mean? And then we proceeded, but I didn't like it like that because I don't have that same genuine love from her that prior to me violating the trust. That feeling was so like devastating to me. I just said, I'm never doing that again. I'm not going down that road, you know? So honesty is the best policy. It sounds easier said than done, but I don't think so. I think it is easy, especially up front. Up front, when there's not a whole lot of feelings invested yet, tell a person what you're into, what you like. Like if you want to have multiple women, say that. Give them the opportunity to be like, yeah or nay, yay or nay. And just go back to like people being of certain stature. Because we talked about this. I think you said dating is a luxury. Mm-hmm. Did you say that? Somebody said that.
If I didn't say that, we've talked about it.
But I agree, right? Because I feel like as a young man, we're on a quest of growing into a from a caterpillar to a butterfly, growing into that real knight. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of training we got to do. A lot of, just whether that be school or sport or a vocation or whatever, getting some job work experience, you know what I mean? And then growing into that managerial position and then that boss position or whatever that may be. So it's an evolution that we should all be on, that I really, preach that to the young dudes. shouldn't be coasting through life just trying to get laid all the time, because that is stagnating your growth and your progression. And when you're young, you're gonna get laid, right, by hot girls. However, that shit is gonna get old when girls start getting old enough to have needs and desires outside of just being cute and hanging out with a dude. What do you have to provide? And yes, everything is looked on us to provide, and I have no problem with that, right? So, and I understand why some people have a problem with that, is because they're not putting themselves in a position to provide.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But you should, because nobody's going to provide for a man. You shouldn't want nobody to provide for you. That's weird, right? So, you put yourself in position to provide, and you be an honorable person. You'd be surprised at what you can have at your disposal with some truth and some honesty.
One of the things I heard when we were talking about these topics related to men and women was that, they don't get it. Mike doesn't get it because he's in a position where he's got it now. Mm-hmm. He's got it like that, so he can do that type of stuff and he can be comfortable. But anyone who had achieved something would then be in that position. Like you said, it's only the people who feel that they're not going to achieve or can't achieve or won't achieve who would be worried about stuff like that. Like, who wouldn't be just saying, no, let me just embrace this role and take it on and get there. And then I'll be able to be in a better position to make decisions. It's just like the same thing with like we talked about with cars, or houses or clothes. Your options change as your status rises, as you get further in the game. You have better options, or at least more options. So, if you want to have more options, you need to progress in the game of life. And just like you said, dating is a luxury, like we've talked about, because you may not, if you're not at the point where you want to be in the game yet, you need to keep working and not focus on the pastimes and the pleasures. You need to put in the work.
Right. So, all right. So, polygamy, as in terms of like marrying multiple wives, is illegal here. It's illegal in a lot of places, but
to actually legally be married,
yeah, like through the court, which is kind of null and void because a lot of people don't even care about getting married through the court. We know that from the last episode. People are like, well, fuck that, fuck the institution of it, right? However, there's a lot of countries all over the world in which polygamy is legal.
We have it legal in Utah. Is there any other states in the U.S. that have it legal?
I don't think it's legal in Utah.
It's not?
Let me check.
I think it is. I think that's why people do it there.
Is polygamy? I don't think so.
Oh,
look, that's the first thing that pops up. Is polygamy legal in Utah? It's decriminalized in Utah. Decriminalized, so it is legal. And New York. Holy shit. Hold up, y'all. It's official. For the first time in 85 years, polygamy is no longer a felony in Utah. State law passed back in March, went into effect Tuesday. Why do you know this? What kind
checking
of research
out my
you doing?
options.
You do a kind of
Just
research
kidding.
you doing. You better not say that out loud. You gonna get stabbed.
No, I'm just kidding.
Your girl gonna stab your ass.
RP, we're not gonna have a third partner.
You damn right yet. You ain't. All right, so let me see. So New York, how did New York get thrown into this? This was like last year, so it's been going on 2 years now. Had no idea.
Yeah.
Idea.
I mean, I think the Mormon population, I guess maybe New York has a strong Mormon population too, because it wouldn't be a Muslim-based push to get these
Not
things
in
put.
Utah.
Yeah, but I mean,
nowhere in America.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
so it must be Mormon populations getting their way into the state.
Look, I have friends. I have a number of friends that have been in polygamous marriages or relationships for many years, and it's not like what one would think, right? Someone that's on the outside looking in, like, oh, some freaky, you know what I'm saying? And it's not that. It's more of like a family structure, a setup. One of my boys in New York, he had 2 wives at the time. He got 3 now, and they both had children. They all lived in the same home, different bedrooms. They had a nice house, nice cars. He was providing for them both equally. In Islam, my customs, that's normal. And in the Middle East, I have friends there who are in polygamous relationships. And one of my boys, Hamza, he's like, Aki, it's hard, bro. It's hard. He's like, I got to deal with two attitudes. You know what I'm saying? So for him, he wasn't having the most fun, but he said he did talk about a lot of the benefits, how, it seemed like the kids are smarter. You have multiple sources of love and affection for the kids, and there's always somebody looking out. You know what I'm saying? There's always somebody there at the home. And they all work together, for the betterment of that family unit. And I think it's interesting, like, looking through the statistics and looking through history, that was pretty much the norm, but it was men that, they had to be able to provide. Like, look at a lion. A lion is typically a male lion, 6 or 7 lioness, like female lions, and a pride, right? And it's usually one male lion, maybe 2, but he don't have, like, the one that's under the alpha don't have access to the women. He just wait until he grows up old enough to go off and do his own thing or challenge another lion for his pride. So lions don't got money. They don't got crypto. You know what I'm saying? They don't got bank accounts. But they got, the ability to protect and fight and all of that shit, right? Even though they don't hunt, the women do the hunting. But they just, listen, it is what it is. They're the kings. So with men in modern day society, one can't be just a regular guy thinking that you can have all of these women, right? You got to be able to provide, protect, guide, love, all of the things that is required to maintain a meaningful relationship and to make somebody want to stay in that relationship, right? So I don't think that's an easy task. You know what I'm saying? But, I don't know. I think who's to judge, right? Why judge? Because look, there's a crazy freaking statistic. Something like 80% of all available men is having sex with all the women. You know what I'm saying?
80%.
So 70 is almost 80%. So most available guys are not having sex with that many women, with women in general, right? It's just they're having a hard time, right? So
does that mean 20% of the guys is having?
I'm sorry, 20%.
20% of men
I
is
reversed
having
it.
80%
It's
of
30.
the sex.
It's closer to 30. I'm sorry. So around 30% of available guys. You looking at me like, okay. Around 30% of available men are having sex with 80% of the available women.
Right. Man, hold on. The 80-20 rule strikes again.
It strikes again.
It's pervasive, this shit.
Damn.
In business and
everywhere.
In romance and everything else.
Right.
And that rule, if you're not familiar, is that in business, the rule is that 20% of your customers' products or services is usually responsible for 80% of your revenues. So, like, we're supposed to learn how to focus on those things that we're really good at and push them to generate, more return versus getting caught up and distracted by the 80% of our products and services that don't generate the return.
It's not just products. So, like the Pareto principle, what it's called, it states that for many outcomes, roughly 80% of consequences come from 20% of causes.
That's why it's pervasive. It's meant to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think about it through the business lens.
Right,
typically.
right.
But yeah, it literally is like that.
Yeah. So around 20-something% of men is having sex with 80% of women. Now, here's the thing. Some of these women don't realize it, right? That they're sharing a guy. Now, it's like these numbers are there for a reason, right? Always outliers. However, it's happening. I don't know that percentage of women that don't know it's happening, but I'm sure it's a pretty healthy percent that don't know or don't really want to know. Because let's face it, people want to be lied to, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Unwillingly, you know what I mean? Because I've been in a lot of situations where I'm like super honest with people and they have a problem with that. I'm like, I'm mean, I'm rude. I'm like, no, I'm just telling you the truth. You just don't like it, So wouldn't it be better for these men to stop lying to these women and tell them what they want to do or their intentions? Let the women have the option to be okay with it. And then it's not, because these numbers won't change. But what can change is whether we know about it or not. We're on the up and up. It's an honest situation. You know what I'm saying? So
It's a construct we're stuck in as guys. Even guys who are super high achievers, high earners, whatever, exceptional, intelligent, all the things. We were still raised in this structure of monogamy. So it's something that we're comfortable with, even if it's subconscious. So we quote unquote feel bad. Even if we don't feel bad, we feel like we should. And so there's like some guilt there. So you don't even maybe want to try and bring it up because you feel like you'll be looked down on by society.
right,
I think that's a fear for some people.
right. Should people care?
Yeah, I mean, I think it seems like the best outcome for life for everyone is to be happy with yourself and to be doing what you want to do and what feels like it, if you feel good with it, like if you feel happy with it and it's what you desire to do. And if you're not hurting people, of course, like if your desires yield a lot of pain for other people, then, probably got to reconsider them. But
Right.
if it's just you, if you're living your life with the people and things that you want to do and not hurting others, I think that's the best possible outcome. That's what I'm trying to get towards. That's what I want to work towards, is having that type of life forever.
Right. All right. So someone said more wives equal more mother-in-laws. Like I'd be cool with that.
Yeah.
Come on, mama.
I like my mother-in-law.
She's dope. All right. Let's see. Tell the truth. I'm reading a comment. No matter how a female acts, your character and integrity. If for you, women respect men with integrity. I agree. I think that's a fair statement. People respect people with integrity, period, across the board. Let's see. Does that make sense? Most men are not pick of the litter, and women are hypergamous. So most men will not get chosen by the majority of women. I don't know what hypergamous is. You know what that means?
No.
Yeah, I don't know what that word means. I can Google it, but I'm not about to. All right. But yeah, there was a lot of reasons for like let's face it. Let me look on the other side of the coin. In our society, I think that I don't know. Let's talk about this. So in our society, the notion is it's a good idea for there to be monogamous relationships because that's the societal norms. So I can say, well, this is the new natural, right? Because this is what we choose. This is how we choose to live in as a civilized people. However, we civilized people are lying like a motherfucker. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's not civilized, to lie, to deceive, right? So maybe we are fighting an uphill battle that's kind of impossible to win.
Yeah.
You know?
You know what? I don't know if there's a connection here or not. It just crossed my mind. The last 30 years or maybe 40, 50 years have really been the most time of excess in human history. Right. Prior to that, like we were really like fighting, to make things happen. We didn't have the technologies that we have now, the medicines and the food supply. Stuff wasn't as dialed in as it is now.
Right.
So prior to now, you really had to like buckle down. Shit was just harder, like without electricity and without as
Which
much
wasn't that long
conveniences.
ago.
Right. So it was probably more necessary before because you really, really wanted that partner that you could count on, and you didn't have so much exposure to other people. Like you saw them in your daily life, but you weren't like seeing them online and seeing pictures and videos and seeing what's out there in the world, different cultures, like all that stimulates a guy and makes you think about options and stuff. So if divorce rates have gone up in the last 30 years, that doesn't surprise me. Like availability and time and luxury has gone up too. So if we're not in this survival mode as much as we were before, that might open up the mindset to say, okay, well, what about my romantic life? You have time for that. Like you start to have you start thinking about like those outcomes.
Right. Cause yeah, that wasn't a vibe back in the day. That wasn't even a reality.
You didn't have time. You were too busy trying to literally just get enough food. but you had to work on a farm or you had to do too difficult of a job, and that combined with your lack of exposure to other people made it kind of easy to keep your blinders on.
Right.
Like you just keep going.
Right. And you know, and back then, I mean, you got to think about human evolution. Think about just the nature of all creatures on this planet. We all have an innate desire to pass on our data, our DNA, to procreate, right? To reproduce subconsciously, because most people are not, every time they have sex, they're not thinking like, I'm trying to have a baby, trying to have a baby. You know what I'm saying? No one's thinking that. However, we're programmed to try to, you know, reproduce. So, you know, I was reading, we both read Sapiens, and it talked about, Sapiens is a book, I should check it out. It's a dope book. What was the author's name? You remember? It was a dope book. It's about the history of human evolution. It's a dope read. But anyway, it talked about how women would have, you know, men. It was no monogamy back then because people were just trying to. We didn't have philosophy. We weren't talking about societal norms. We were just out there surviving, right? So you get somebody pregnant, you know, start procreate right there. That person is locked down for 9 months. She can't get pregnant again. So now I need somebody else who's free and easy. Free, not easy, but open. you know what I'm talking about. So they will go off to the next, do the same thing, and keep doing that. That's literally how what we had to do to populate the earth. And back then, nobody was thinking we got to populate the earth. You know what I'm saying? It's so interesting. Nobody had Google and like, yo, it's only 30,000 people right now. Y'all got to put in some work. Make it happen. That wasn't happening. People just had that innate programming to go and smash, to try to have kids, to have babies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it was even when people were like living like savages, men was hunting women down to reproduce, you know, and not even knowing why, which is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
We got a super chat, Forever Strong. Shout out to Forever Strong. I would read it from there, but it's hard to read, so I'll read it from here. Hypergamy, marrying up, is a term used in social science for the active practice of a person marrying a spouse of higher caste or social status than themselves. Women have more access to higher status men with new tech. That is 100% true.
True.
And I do believe that women are innately programmed to attempt at dating up, at, you know, getting brought into a higher caste, you know. Typically, and listen, I lived in the Middle East, right? And you see the arranged marriages, you see it all. And I'm giving a real general breakdown on how a lot of the world is. The girls were not capable of work like the boys to help the family earn money like the boys, right? So it was somewhat of and I'm not saying this in a negative way, but a burden on the family when a girl was born. So that's why fathers would pay dowries to the families of a boy who would marry his daughter. You know what I'm saying? Because the daughter is a responsibility of the father until she's married off. And if it's not the father, I don't know if it's an uncle or older brother or somebody, but the women are a responsibility of the man. Mm-hmm. This is how people can say what they want, but that's how not most, but it might be most, because these countries I'm talking about are heavily populated. This is how a lot of the world is, you know. And there's even countries like, let's say, where I used to live at in the United Arab Emirates, the locals, it was more expats than locals. So the locals are a minority there, the Emiratis, right? Dope people too. So the government would pay the families, the men, I guess the wives too, more money if you married another local, because they was marrying like beautiful Moroccans and, you know what I'm saying, women from other countries, you know what I'm saying, because that's the middle of the world. You're close to everything. You're close to all the African countries, Asia, Europe. You're close to everything right there, right? So, you know, people, you know, conquest, explore. You see different beautiful things, you know what I mean? So they would get paid more money the government took care of their people when you married someone that is a local of your place. So that's a normal thing right there. So it's really interesting. What do you think about that?
I think that that's a cultural norm. I mean, it feels right, and maybe it's because I was raised that way too, with the male leadership. Kind of taking the lead, and then the wife following the father, and of course the daughter, of course, looking to the father for guidance to figure out what she's looking for in a man. And oftentimes, why not take the next step and actually pick the man if you're the dad? Like,
Right.
I'm gonna pick. You're not gonna pick a good man. Like,
Right.
maybe I can tell better who's a good candidate for you because I know you. Because like your dad knows you pretty well.
And is that the worst thing in the world?
It's honestly not, and I don't have the data, but I think probably it's more successful.
Those are more. I read that. Yeah.
In a lot of cases. So things are tradition. Not some traditions are bad and they need to be eliminated. But a lot of traditions are good.
Maybe should be explored more.
Yeah.
So like back to what you said, like the man leading a house, wife takes follow, so does the daughters or whatever. There's a lot of dialogue. I was listening to Jordan Peterson's interview on GQ, and I thought it was a really good back and forth. I thought the woman was formidable mentally, and so was Jordan. I thought they had a really good dialogue. One thing that the woman kept saying, though, was about this patriarch, right? Patriarch, and kind of positioning that to be negative, to where Jordan was kind of defending, well, kind of saying, like, kind of sitting on a position of, like, this is not a patriarch or whatever, but I think he got lost in the positioning of that word. The word is not negative, right?
It doesn't have to be, yeah.
But it's not innately. I mean, we're going by, if words have meanings, which, I think we all agree that what it say in the dictionary for that said word is what it is, and it's simple. The male head of a family or a tribe, any of those biblical figures regarded as fathers of the human race, especially, that's biblical, but it's basically a male head of a family or a tribe. It could be a country, whatever, right? And that's just kind of normal, People be taking these terms like they making it oppressive. This male patriarch. Saying male patriarch is an oxymoron. It's just a patriarch. That's the nature of what a patriarchy is, right? And I don't see anything wrong with the term innately. And we should be able to like call things for what they are, without, people taking offense to everything, and society's gotten pretty damn soft, man. Like, you can't say this, you can't say. I don't live by that, right? I feel like I stay firm to my truth. I say what I feel. I think about what I say before I say it. If I say something that's not right and exact, I can apologize. I can speak on that. But people, I hear a lot that people feel like they can't say anything. You know what I'm saying? And there's reasons like that. People are taking words and kind of like, well, this means this. This means that. Like, nah, it just means what. Let's go to Webster. You know what I'm saying? And
So,
if we can't go by that, then what the fuck
are we going by? Yeah, we have to come to some meanings, but we see it all the time where things that should mean one thing are taken, and it's the applied meaning that's the problem, not
Right.
the actual meaning. Like the social justice warrior. Like the literal meaning of it is something you can't really hate
Yeah.
on. They want justice for everyone, and they're willing to go to bat for it. That sounds great.
Correct.
But it means something else to a lot of people. Same thing with Black Lives Matter. It's like that, it's so obvious that
Right.
it's true. But
where that went wrong was it's an organization.
right, that's what I'm saying. So it's just a confusing thing of like, oh, does saying that mean you agree with everything of that organization?
Right.
And they want you to think that it has to be the same, but it doesn't have to be the same.
Right. It's funny because I was saying Black Lives Matter. Yeah, Black Lives Matter, whatever. Before I had no idea there was an organization. I'm like, wait a minute, right? And I don't know if you remember, we researched, we looked into a lot of different organizations. We wanted to do something to help
Yep.
at that time. and they were one of the people that no response on financial. So what we're talking about is we were looking at different organizations to make some donations and possibly do some collaborations with and work with to help further the cause. So first and foremost, we're not going to blindly give money to nobody. So on every organization, they're supposed to be transparent with their funding, and they have a channel in which you can go through to request financials. No response. No BLM. No response. No
Nothing.
response.
Yeah,
they're
nothing
not the
at
only
all.
ones, but no response. And I feel like that's a little shady. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then when I further read into their ethos, I'm like, what the fuck is this about? He was like, what's this really about?
Yeah,
So
it's a little bit off the cause.
it's a little. I feel like it's a hijacking of some powerful words, Black Lives Matter, and it is what it is. But
Okay, so on this topic, like on the direct topic of polygamy, monogamy, I have a thought.
okay,
So, is monogamy natural? No. Is polygamy natural though? The context of what it means today in society, I don't think that that's natural either.
so where we at?
I don't think any of it's natural. I just think that we have to, like, everyone should be able to do what feels right for them and what they can handle and what they feel good about. And like we said, honesty is the best policy. If you're finding yourself desiring to take other actions, you have to be honest about that. Otherwise, you end up doing weird stuff. Like you end up cheating, you end up lying, hurting people when you could have told the truth and figured it out with your partner. So I think that's open and honest, like openness and honesty with your partner is so crucial. And I said that it's not natural because we're biologically programmed for this diversity, for this desire, for we have eyes, we have desires that need to be fulfilled. But in the construct of society today, first of all, being illegal is one thing. Like that's its own little issue to overcome. But let's just say you
But
don't.
that's if you want to take those steps to actually get married.
Right. Let's say you don't care about any of that. I think it's still pretty tough because humans are so complicated. Like making sure that everyone's happy and stuff. I don't know the success rate of that. I can imagine it going wrong too. And one person not feeling that they're getting enough attention, even if you try your best. Like I could see that happening too. And it being tough to actually play it out successfully for a lot of different people. Of course, there's going to be examples where it works great, but then there'll be some where one person feels like, no, I was neglected or not cared for, and they leave. That could happen too.
That's on us, the man.
Yeah.
I always say I have to, if I'm the sun in my solar system, I have to keep my planets in orbit. Proper rotation, proper distance from the sun, not too far, not too close. That's necessary, or it burns or freezes. Right? Shit ain't gonna work out.
Right. That's what I was getting at with the natural. Natural. It has to be in context to the person. Like some people have a personality and a charisma and an ability to deal with people that can allow that, and some people don't.
Right. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like some people, my first relationship where we explored that, it was actually kind of dope. However, we didn't really lay out the boundaries properly, We kind of just dove into it. We're like, you want to try? Yeah. Okay, let's go. And then it was kind of refreshing because it was something that there was no lying. We talked about it, but with the honesty, it was like a little oh, well, shit. You know what I'm saying? It was like it was a little too much. We didn't set parameters, and I feel like that's necessity. And I agree with you. What's natural? Was natural to me. Was natural to you. Like, let's say, for instance, a homosexual person, right? What's natural to them is them being attracted to the same sex. It's not natural to me or you. But we can't say that that's not natural. That's been going on since the beginning of time.
Right.
There's hieroglyphs of that shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So this blew my mind. Romans and Greeks had their form of hieroglyphs as well. I don't know what they called it. But it would be like men. It would show like how the society was ran in Greece and how it'd be like the men. It'd be two guys. All the men had wives at home. All the men, right? I guess men of stature had wives. wives stayed at home. The men, the bit like partners, and they were like butt buddies too. You know what I'm saying? You know, on occasion. And they always had an apprentice, a young boy that they taught the ways of the world, of society. And there's, bro, I'm going to Google this shit right now. There's literal hieroglyph. Y'all look this shit up. It's either Greece or Rome of the men, like, forcing themselves on the boys. And the boys, like, oh, like, get the fuck out of here with that shit. But this shit is real. This shit's been around for a long time. You know what I'm saying? So for people that's wired like that, it's natural for them. You know what I'm saying? So who are we to say, who's anyone to say
Right.
that's not natural, you know? And that's the problem with certain religions. I mean, look, there's laws in this country against sodomy. Like, what? You know what I'm saying? There's laws against certain sexual acts. You know what I mean? Which is wild, it's bizarre. I just learned today, baby girl told me about in the military, there's laws in the military to where you can't have sex outside of missionary. Huh? Really? Like, how would y'all know?
Don't
You know
get
what I'm
caught.
saying?
Don't get caught.
Right? Don't you send in the video to everybody. But nah, it's really interesting. It's bizarre. Some of the shit with religion, you know what I'm saying? The rules that they impose or try to impose on people, and people believe that shit. You know what I'm saying? So, like, religion got a stronghold on people's minds and hearts. You know what I'm saying? Is that dangerous or is that fine for the greater society?
Yeah, when we talk about that 80-20 again, you know, I think it probably applies to people too. So like 20% of people probably accomplish things that create the future, if not less. That the rest of the people, the other 80%, are just kind of going through the journey of this life with what's around them. So they need to be guided by something. Like, it just kind of gives you a compass to use. And for a lot of people, that might be fine. You know, like, it kind of keeps them from having to figure it all out. It kind of lays out some rules and regulations that they can abide by. And, you know, in a lot of contexts, it's fine. It's when it causes you, when religion starts to cause you to not want other people to do what fulfills them, that's where I don't like it. That's when I have a problem with it.
Wait, say that one more time.
When your religion starts to cause you to not want others to pursue what gives them satisfaction and fulfillment, if it's not even about you or hurting you or having anything to do with you, if you don't want that because of your religion,
right,
then I think that's a problem.
Right. No, that's real.
Because if it's guiding you, if it's your moral compass and what you want to do,
for you.
It's fine. But if it's not for someone else, I think that's the most beautiful part of this country, is the freedom to choose.
Right. But the problem lies where you have certain policy and legislation that religion leans on, that has a religious overtone, which I don't think is okay at all.
I just think one by one, bro, we have to eliminate these things. And we did, right? Because look, up until very recent, in Elijah's lifetime, when Elijah was born, gay people could not get married in this country. It wasn't possible.
Right.
And that was based on Christian principles.
Right.
And although it's supposed to be separate, the men making the laws were by and large Christian. So like, it's the bias is inherent.
Yeah.
You know, but that just because it was like that doesn't mean it has to stay like that.
Right.
So we just got to one by one remove these things that don't make sense. It's like, what is the problem with a man and a man getting married, or a woman and a woman getting married if they want to? You know, like that's not really it doesn't really make sense, because it doesn't harm anyone else. If they want to have their union be formalized like that, that's for them.
Right. So they being ridiculous in the chat. Motherfucker talking about, well, some people naturally want to murder. Is that natural? Like,
You're crossing that line right away, where you're infringing on someone else's rights to do what you want. That's a clear line.
We have a society. We have a civilization. You know, we follow rules, these abstract rules, to have peace and harmony, right? I've said this before, a red light don't stop anything, but it's a good idea for us to all stop at a red light so these guys can go, so we don't collide and die, right? So murdering someone is illegal, is not okay. So we have rules and guidelines that we live by, and so don't be ridiculous, all right? And pedophilia, is that natural? I don't know, but
you know what?
It's
But
not. That's illegal too.
right.
And there's all right, just like in Islam, you have, like in Islamic countries, you have the law, but you have Sharia law as well, right? That really governs everything. It takes precedence over state laws. Where I'm from, just my culture, we have certain laws. And pedos, you get punished to the highest of extent when people find out. That's a real thing. And it's illegal for us to punish them, right? But we're not bound by man's laws. I'm bound by what I feel is right. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is with that kind of situation. You know what I mean? And it go the same with men beating women.
It's not a slippery slope. Like when people talk, they make that argument like, well, if we let gay people get married, then, then we have to let people marry animals, and we have to let people be pedophiles and murderers. It's like, that doesn't have to be like that. It's such a clear distinction when you start harming other people. It's so easy to see the difference of one harming people and one not. One just being your personal lifestyle choice that has no effect on the next person, and one being like, if you're taking actions as an adult against a child who doesn't have the ability to make the right decisions, clearly it's wrong. That's why it's called that. Otherwise, it would just be called normal.
Children are to be protected at all costs.
100%.
So they're off the table. Even in the most grimy gangster flicks, women and children are off limits. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What movie was I just watching? Oh, in Tenet, when he asked, what's Denzel's son's name? Whatever. He asked the protagonist, that was his name in the movie, the protagonist, would you harm women? He says, children? No. You know what I'm saying? It's always got to be we need moral compasses to adhere by, right? Yeah. Because human beings are dangerous, potentially. We're all very dangerous. We can cause great destruction and harm to people, or we can be the source of joy and pleasure to a lot of motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? So,
you know what? And at a certain time in the history of humanity, guys being with guys might have caused us to end up wiping ourselves out. But now we're at a point in the population where, if that's what some people want to choose, it is what it is. Like, it doesn't have to be that everyone... So at this point now in human development, it doesn't seem that we have to be taking drastic actions in order to ensure the survival of our species, like reproductive actions. Like the actions that we're taking is stuff like trying to clean up the atmosphere, trying to look at other planets can we get to, and doing things like that. It's not about population anymore. Like you said, at a certain point in time, according to the Sapiens book, there was 30,000 of us. There was 1 million of us in the whole world, whereas now there's 8-9 billion of us.
There was one human per square mile.
Right, there was no one.
That's crazy.
So reproduction was so important. We didn't have the luxury of guys being with guys. That would have led to us not being here anymore. So at this point now, things are just different. We're just different. We're in a different place as a species.
Right.
We've come so far.
When I think about that period of time, when there was a sense of urgency to reproduce and no one knew it was a sense of urgency, that really blows my mind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's crazy.
So when you talk about these moral compasses, they were all morality. It comes from the summary of the times. Like it was needed. Whatever the things are that were being done is what was needed at the time, but it doesn't mean it's needed now. So if that made sense before, that we only allow marriages between men and women, that made sense then. Now we realize it doesn't. Like there are people who are attracted to the same sex and they want to have the right to be able to celebrate that love that they have and that union that they have. And there's literally no reason why they shouldn't be able to. All right, cool. Let's take that one off the table. Let's change it. So we should be able to do that with anything. Right. If we did it with that, we should be able to do it with anything as we find them.
Yo, listen, to each their own. Yeah. Live and let live. What's it to you? That's my biggest question to people who's so bent out of shape about what other people do. What's it to you? What's it to you? We should get shirts. What's it to you? Has nothing to do with you. Leave it alone.
Yeah.
You know, I don't bother nobody. They say I've mentioned *Sapiens* every podcast. It's a good book, and we're always talking about all of this crazy shit. So, humans have killed women and children during things like colonialism. Gangsters in movies literally aren't good reference points for fucking Larry Literal over here. You know what I'm saying? It's like Maroon Fitness. It's like it's like Double Dutch. You know Double Dutch, right?
Yeah. Where can I jump in?
You waiting to jump in to disagree. I'm waiting for that. Like, why? Like, what do you get out of that? That must be a miserable life. You know what I'm saying? Add on something to try to add on, be productive to the conversation, or be quiet, or just take a nap, take a hike. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you getting out of that shit? You know what I'm saying? What if you marry my sister? I don't know. All right, you guys are getting weird. What the fuck are y'all talking about? All right, so check it out. Is monogamy natural? I think we summarize it. No, but neither is polygamy. And yes, it's natural, and so is polygamy. Whatever works, whatever feels right to you, you should be true to who you are, right? You should be true to who you are, whether you want to be monogamous or polygamous. What you do behind closed doors is not my business. What I do behind closed doors is not your business. People should mind their own, live and let live, be happy. And people who do feel inclined to see multiple people, be honest about it. Put it on the table. But fellas, if that's you, be able to handle that shit. You know what I'm saying? You can't be a loser expecting to have all the women.
A
You know what I'm
harem.
saying? A harem. It ain't happening.
No.
Listen, men of great stature has always had concubines and harems throughout history, even now. It's a reason for that. It's survival of the fit. If a person is a powerful person and we populating the earth, the land, the powerful guy should be populating the land with his seed. His seed will have resources, right? The guy that's a loser, that's still sheep, should not be trying to reproduce or nothing. He got big problems. You know what I'm saying? He will be a burden on society. Some people have children, and their children are burdens on society. It's just a fact. Not everybody should be reproducing.
And this talk about the ignoring the need for men to level up and to continue pushing themselves to grow. It's like if you do that, if you don't keep the focus there very rigorously, it doesn't really matter what you do. You're just going to be existing on a lower level, period. You'll just be dealing with the resources you have at a very, very low level. Like you'll be trading pennies around when other people are trading dollars. You won't be getting the same things. You won't be experiencing the same life. You'll be really just handicapping yourself. Mm-hmm. So you have to try and level up because that's the only way you're going to experience those higher planes is by getting there.
And for my homies out there, for the fellas out there, you at that crossroad in life, or you trying to figure out how to level up, or what do I do? And not just young dudes, older dudes too. You know, life ain't over till the casket drops. So don't throw the towel in yet. Listen, if you ain't where you need to be, man, I'm so tired of saying this, but I'm gonna keep saying it. Stop chasing girls. Stop chasing girls. That's it. What you said was perfect. You're going to be satisfying yourself on a very low level. The rest of the world is moving on. You're getting older. That, maybe you're getting a lot out of that right now. But at a certain point, it's going to be very unfulfilling. Very unfulfilling, right? So experience those higher levels of life. Ascend into your highest self, right? It's a term called jihad that people hijack and make it seem like it's about terrorism and war. Jihad is a war within self. It's a war against your lower nature. And we all have that lower nature. And it's imperative that we go to war with our lower nature, our lower selves, and try to ascend to our higher selves. And that's hard to do. But it's very rewarding. And the more you tap into that, the easier it is for you to stay there. You know, I'm going to tell you why. You start having other people that's on that level as well in your your ecosystem. And you just know, like, the benefits of ascending to that your higher self is voluminous. You're not gonna want to let that go, right? You want to keep climbing higher and higher and higher. You know, this is how we become better people. It's about it's work. At the end of the day, it's putting in work, the work for yourself. Some people call it shadow work. Some people call it whatever. But putting in work on yourself and work for others, doing things for other people. Because you're never doing nothing wrong by that. That's a generous thing to do. So I'm all done. You got anything left to close with?
Yeah, I don't know why it's bothering me. That's been sitting on me, the philosophies of trying to teach men to deal with how to deal with women while remaining average. And I just want to talk about that because this 80-20 thing has kind of like resurfaced it for me. Like, we have to understand, because people are like, oh, most men are never going to get to your level, to Mike's level, to these alpha statuses. So they have to know what to do. But the reality is it's always going to be a competition for resources. If 20% of people is getting 80% of what's good out there, you need to get into the 20%. And simply saying this and hearing it, if you're watching right now, if that doesn't make you want to get into the 20%, we are not born into these roles like predetermined, and it's like there's nothing that can be done about it. People who are born in positions where they should be in the 20% fall out. People who are born in the situation where they're in the 80% rise up. This is an ever-evolving thing. To have any acceptance of the position you're in as your permanent position is bullshit.
Right.
It's bullshit. You have to try and level up, and you have to try and advance yourself, and you can do it. You just have to want that. Or you could take the tactics of how to deal with the pennies while the rest of us are getting after the dollars.
Right. That's real, Sean. I'm going to answer this question. You can answer as well. A question for Mike and co-host. His name is Sean, or Party Torbati or Gator. He says, are you open to share your women with one or more men? No.
No.
I'm not. That's not what polygamy is. There's another term for women that are shared. Poly something. Let me see. Polyamorous.
Is that what it is?
No. Polyamorous is what polygamy is. I'm going to tell you right now. Hold on. It is. Hold on.
Yeah, no. While he's looking that up, I'm not okay with that. And the reason is because of my beliefs and my reality, which is where I want to be the leader to my lady, and I want to be like you said, the sun in the ecosystem, and I want to work together to create a beautiful galaxy, but I want to be that person. And so I don't believe that there's room for that to occur.
Yeah, it's called polyandry.
Polyandry, yeah.
That's for a form of polygamy in which a woman takes two or more husbands at the same time. So, no, that's not my vibe. And don't tell me, well, that's fair. First of all, life's not fair. I'm not saying that in a mean way, but life is not fair. Everything is not equal. And men and women are not the same. We're just not. So, simply put, no.
It's fine for that to be our opinion, right? Because everyone, what if someone else wanted to be involved in that type of relationship and they were cool with it? I'm not saying they shouldn't be able to. I don't care what they do.
Right. Okay. He said, I didn't say polygamy. Would you share? Like, nah, we won't share. All right. So on that note, we about to holler at y'all. Appreciate y'all for tapping in. Let me know. All right. So the chat about to go off, but go in the comments and tell me what y'all want the next topic to be.
Yeah.
And we're going to start bringing in guests and experts. We got a sex expert lined up. She's a veteran in the sex industry, and she's a good person too. She's dope. We got a few people that we're going to bring on. So let us know down in the comments what y'all want to talk about, what you want to unpack.
All right. Some good topics.
We up out of here.
See you on the next one.